So it's Luke chapter 15, verse 1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering round to hear Jesus. And then verse 11. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he'd spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate."
I've called this the hope of a second chance. Look at that first line, verse 1, and it'll come on the screen, I hope. You get the story if you get this first line. The tax collectors and sinners, in other words, the outcasts. Think of the people who would never, ever be acceptable if you were having people around for food, and you think, well, not inviting him because you're an absolute disgrace, somebody from your neighborhood, I don't know, somebody who deals drugs. We live on Riverside, there's drug dealing all the time on Riverside. They're not coming near my family. Somebody like that, the danger they bring. Worse, think of terrible criminal things. Things against children, people doing terrible things. See, to get what Jesus does sometimes, you've got to get out of your comfort zone and go, who's Jesus really interested in? Because we can't help it. Our muscle memory says he defaults to nice people like us. You can hear it a million times, a zillion times. But the default muscle memory says, through my lenses, it's people. I'm not such a bad person. I'm all right. I'm not as good as him. I'm better than her. It's all relative. Jesus says this. Look at verse 1. He says that the real outcasts of society were all gathering round to hear him, says Luke. But the religious leaders, the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, muttered. What a great verb. Isn't that a great verb? That's what you do, isn't it? If I'm with Michelle, and if I don't like somebody or something, I'll go to Michelle, dear me, what about that? You know, you never go, oi, what are you doing that for? You mutter to somebody on the sly, don't you? You slander somebody. So you're meant to see that this is a nasty situation. Mutters. Seriously, what is he doing? What is Jesus? What a waster. That's the feel of this. It's nasty. It's nasty. These people hate him. They're after him. Jesus is brilliant. Now we're in our story. He tells 2 stories before this to the people who are muttering about him, but we'll do the third, this one. Jesus basically says, you think the people that I'm willing to talk to are wasters. Right, chaps? I mean, they haven't said it out loud. They've muttered it. And of course, now they've got to go, yeah. And he goes, you haven't begun to think how bad the people are that I'm willing to welcome in. You can't even conceive of it. He says, let me tell you a story. This is a story. Right, we're in the tale. But you've got to remember, he's telling people who are muttering about him that he's making time for people who should an absolute disgrace socially and should never be touched with a barge pole. Right? Happy? That's the context. It's not comfortable because muscle memory doesn't work like that. But that's what he's doing. Right, now the story's great. And if you've heard the story before, don't assume you know it, because there's genius in this story in a minute. There is genius in this story. Jesus leaves one little phrase out, and it changes the whole story. Come on, let's do it together. You've got to read it, because otherwise you've got to look at me, which is bad news. Read the story. Verse 11, Jesus continued, there was a man who had 2 sons, 2 boys. The younger one said to his dad, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. Okay, if I don't explain wild living for the sake of discretion, are we okay with that? Very good. It's quite wise, isn't it, in the setting we're in? Squandered his wealth in wild living. Explain later if you have to. It's not good, but this is worse. I mean, today, if you went to your dad as a child, mum and dad, and said, look, there's no easy way to say this, mum and dad, can you just die? Because if you were gone, I know the house gets sold, and then it's split between the two of us, and I get a few grand, and I really need it. Any chance of hurrying up? I mean, that would be pretty grim now in terms of paternal family relationships. That would be grim in this culture, where there was a deep and profound humility of a child to a parent, particularly to a father in the culture we're talking about here, to actually say something like this. There would be no doubt that in the village they lived in, the whispers from other servants, because he's a rich man, would have gone around very fast that he had done this. But here's the mad thing. His dad does it. His dad gives him the money. And now you can bet any money that people were saying, what kind of father is that? What an idiot. Fancy letting your child treat you like that, like mud, like something disgusting. Fancy your boy or girl talking to you like that, and you give in to them. For goodness sake, what kind of man is that? What has he been doing at home? How has he raised his children? What sort of thing was going on behind the front door of that house for all their respectability? What a shambles of a family. This is Jesus talking to people who say he hangs out with all sorts of dodgy sorts. And he really shouldn't. It's a disgrace to religion. And Jesus says, you think that's a disgrace? Let me tell you a story about this bloke. At this point, then, we're meant to see that this bloke is a well-to-do guy, but actually his family's a shambles. Now imagine the people who don't like Jesus thinking, what's he talking about? What's he on about? Stay in the story. Verse 14, after he had spent everything, this boy's an absolute disgrace. There's a severe famine in the country that he's gone to, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. Predictable, right? He's blown it all. Parties. Everybody's your mate when the party's on. Everybody's the mate when they can come round your house for the do. Once you're skint, see you later. This is a Jewish kid. That's the context of this. This will be a Jewish boy, and he's got to feed pigs. That's a bad job, because they don't eat pork. That is a bad job. And clearly, we're meant to read, he's so hungry, he's going to have to eat the pig food. He's eating the dog food, the cat food. He's starving. Okay, good. We've got the story. He's had a nightmare. The dad's back home. He's given him the money. Dad looks as if he's been weak. The boy goes, typical mess, nowhere to go, starves to death. Obviously, here's the question, isn't it? Who's going to help me out? Mum and Dad. It's only Mum and Dad. Every young person in the room now thinks, oh, if I did that to my Mum and Dad. Every parent thinks, oh God, please don't let my children ever be like this. Isn't it? Isn't it? I'm a parent, grandparent, please, Lord. Please. Even if you don't believe, even if you've never been to church, you'll be saying, please, please, God, if you're there, don't let this. Here's how the story starts to draw into the close. He begins to take responsibility. Verse 17. Great line, isn't it? I'm sure a few parents in this room have said this in their lives. I wish they'd come to their senses. It may not be this bad, but a few parents have gone, oh, I wish he'd wise up. Oh, I wish he'd see what she's doing here. When he came to his senses, he does come to his senses. Verse 17, he says, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare? Here I am starving to death. Now, here's the genius of the story. Look closely with me. Verse 18. He decides he's going home, but now he's working out what he's going to say to his dad. And you know now, don't you, when you've had a row with somebody, well, this isn't a row, is it? This is an absolute disgrace. When you have to make up, you must have had times where you think, how am I going to say it? Your boss, your friend, your partner, your children, your dad, your mum. How will I say it to get us back on an even keel? Here's the 3 things this boy rehearses. And I reckon all the way home, because he can't get the train, can he? All the way home, he's walking and saying this. Verse 18, I'll say to my dad, 1, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Sorry. No excuses. Sorry. I've sinned against heaven and against you. 2, can you see it? I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. And 3, make me like one of your hired servants. Look at them really closely, because in a minute you'll see one of them missing. 1, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. 3, make me like one of your hired servants. Dad, any job, anything. I am a disgrace to you and Mum, to my brother, because you've got a brother. We see that later. We won't do it today. In the neighborhood, the way you've been perceived, and I've really screwed it up, Dad. I will do anything, anything. Just give me food to eat and somewhere to sleep, please. And he thinks the very least my mum and dad would do for me is that, even though I've caused them utter humiliation and brought hatred upon them. So he's got his speech. And verse 20 is great, isn't it? It doesn't seem great when you read it, so he got up and went to his father. How many times have we rehearsed in our lives, putting something right? You know the rehearsal? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Maybe, as a child of a parent in a Christian home, as a friend of a Christian who would invite you here today, or somebody who's come in pretty much without knowing anyone, or if you've been a Christian years and years. I don't think you should ever come to church on Sunday and not rehearse the truth we're looking at right now. Because we're human beings who need unconditional love. There isn't a person in this room, whatever their Christian or church-going scenario, whether it's been all your life and you know you follow Jesus always, or you've never done it. Here lies the heart of human anthropology, of human emotion, of human feeling, of human need that sets us up to flourish as people. Here it is. Yes, he got up. Yes, he came to his senses. And when he gets home, he does the speech. Let's get the view from the house, and then we'll look at the speech as he gives it to his dad. Here's the view from the house. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him, was filled with compassion for him, and ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Now, we know the story because I just read it to you. It's going to be a happy ending, right? Think of it when you're walking up the drive. The boy's walking up the drive. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. Father, I've sinned against heaven. I'm no longer... Dad, Mum and Dad, I'm not worth it. Which word shall I use? Then next thing, sees his old man flying down the drive. It's obviously a big house, right? Here's the thing. His dad's wealthy. And so the dress that he'd have worn in that culture at that time, the way you showed you were well-to-do, was that your body was covered and the sun didn't get on it. Hence the big flowing robe for the father. That's the context of wealth in this society. If you are poorer, if you're a servant, you wore shorter garments so you could move your body and do your jobs. If his dad's running, I mean, I've never done this myself, obviously, but obviously he's got to get his skirt up, hasn't he? And he's got to be able to fly down that drive, so he's obviously got it up and his knees are out. And he's piling it down the drive. We know his father throws his arms around him. What do you think the boy's thinking? That's it, isn't it? Good, I'm glad you're smiling. What do you think the boy's thinking? Boom. Get out of here, you absolute waster. Don't you dare show your face around here. Do you not know? Look at all these people looking at you. I can see couldn't look at my face then. I've done it to my kids. It's terrible. Do you not know that people are watching you now? People watching you. Don't do that, you fool. Right, you wait till your mother sees you. That's what we're meant to think as the father runs down the drive. But we know what the dad does. And watch what happens when he tries to give the speech. This is the axiomatic, the pivotal, the basic thing about God meeting humanity through sending his son into the world to die on a cross. If you want to get it, this is it right here. It's the clause that the Father won't let the Son say. Here it is. Verse 18. That's the speech, right? Sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. But the boy doesn't get to give the speech. Verse 21. Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. He never gets to the last clause. You know why? Because you cannot spell Christianity D-O. It's impossible. It's not what you do. Now, this is mad. You said it at the beginning. Niv said it at the beginning when we said sorry to God. There isn't a girl or boy, a woman or man in this room or in this city this morning, not one, not one, not one, who can do anything to make God love them. You know, I know, we don't have to pretend. Kelly was so terrific at the front, isn't she? So normal. So good at being normal. Let's just be good at being normal now. There isn't one of us in the room today who hasn't hurt somebody. In fact, there won't be one of us today who wasn't thinking of something we did yesterday, where we're thinking, oh, shouldn't have done that, shouldn't have said that, shouldn't have thought that. God is perfection and holiness. He isn't morality. He defines what's right and wrong. When he looks at you and me, he sees a rebel. When he looks at you, he sees, like me, that we've turned our back. We are the boy. But of course, that is rude to say that to each other, isn't it? But it'd be stupid not to say it because the Bible says it's true. And here's what the Bible teaches. However decent we are walking the wrong way. The Bible has a word called repentance. Literally, it means you turn 180 degrees. Here we are. All of humanity, you and me, are walking this way. The cross is over there. We have a glimpse at it. We have a glimpse at the love and justice of the cross. But we keep walking. If you're not a churchgoer this morning, perhaps a churchgoer will remind you that the brilliant thing about coming to church on a Sunday and putting your phone off and having an hour's peace is that it's so instinctive in our muscle memory to walk this way, don't you think? I'll live my own way, do my own thing. God's there somewhere. I am a Christian. I believe it. But you come today and you go, oh my God, you're on that cross through Christ. That's what we sing for. That's what we pray. So we read the Bible. And then we remember, I can't do anything. He did it. And what does it give you on a Sunday morning? Hope. Hope. I'm such a screw-up. But he still loves me. After all these years, the Christian will say, he died on that cross out of love. He paid the penalty for my rebellion. And I can't do it. I can't earn it. I can't win it. It's a gift. And of course, I see your faces, the joy of knowing you can't earn it means it's free grace every day, which is what gives security and hope. Make me like one of your hired men. Not a chance, son. Not a chance. And this is how the story ends. The father said to his servants, imagine the servants, what's he doing? Oh my gosh, he's hugged him. He's flipping hugged him. What's he doing? Should have kicked him out. Everybody's going to be talking about this household now. Why is he taking him back? Imagine those religious leaders looking at Jesus as he tells this story. Jesus says, what, you think I hang out with the wrong guys? Let me tell you a story. Whoa. Our job's at stake, our reputation, the household's broken. The dad runs at him. Oi, look, 22. Put the best robe on him. Now, to put the best robe on, I'm assuming they got the smelly kit off, right? Because he's been walking down the road stinking of pigs. Probably said, give him a shower, but it's in the parenthesis. Give him a shower, clean him up, put the best gear on him. Boy, there's a party coming here. Get the best meat. Let's have a feast and celebrate. Put a ring on his finger. Look at it, 22. Put a ring on his finger. i.e., I'm the dad. He's my boy. Give him the family heirloom. Let the world see. This is my boy. She is my girl. All mine. I love her. I love him. I don't care who knows. I love her. That's what he's saying. That's what God does. Oh, she's got her faults. Oh my gosh, she's got so many weaknesses. Oh, I mean, if you really knew him like I knew him, God might say, poor, you'd have a shock. You say, well, why do you love him then? Because I just love him. And I've died for him, and I've paid the price for her, and she will never be judged on this. And then somebody who's not a Christian says, well, that's absurd. That means if Jesus died to take your walking away, and you turn back, and you're still a failure, you could do whatever you want. Oh, I'll have an absolute jolly every week and then show up at church on Sunday. But ask a Christian. Every Christian will say to you, no, that's unbearable. I hate it when I do wrong to Jesus. I mean, I'm so easily tempted. And then I do it and I hate it. That's a mark that Jesus is in you. But it's also a marker of what a wretch you are. Because you'd think the longer you're a Christian, you'd get better, wouldn't you? Don't you think you get worse? No, you don't get worse. You just find out more of what was wrong. That's what happens. And then you go, oh, she still loves me. Completely free. So this is how the story ends. Ring on his finger. Smarten him up. Put the best stash on him. Get the party going. Call everybody in. This girl of mine was lost. She's found. She's found. This boy of mine was lost, and he's found. Well, see, that's why I called it the hope of a second chance. There's always a hope of a second chance. Jesus came to give the second chance, and the 105th, and the 4,501st. So how do we end? I think we should end, and Niv will lead us in prayer in just a moment. I think we should end by asking these three things of ourselves. And I ask of myself, one, do I understand that as God has been so kind to me all my years, giving me life, giving me things to do and family and friends, that my instinct is to turn away and be in charge of my own life. And I'm in trouble with him because I've turned my back on the holy God, and I'm under his judgment. We are, and we will meet him, and he'll ask what we did with his offer. And you and I have to look at that cross this morning and say, you paid there for my turning away, and I turn back to you. But secondly, I am taking responsibility to come back to you. Each one must say this. I'm taking responsibility that I've turned and I'm coming back to your overwhelming love. But here's the third and last thing. Do not say, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Because you've wasted your words. It doesn't depend on what you do. You can't be good enough, and you can't be too bad. It never depends on what you do. It's overwhelming love. So if you've never turned to Jesus, you may want to turn to him today, or come along to 321 and have a think more about this, because no doubt you're here because you respect somebody who is a Christian. People never show up at church without having known somebody who they respect somewhere along the path. If you are a follower of Jesus today, remember this. Don't say to God, give me any job and I'll try and earn my wages with you. You can't, you fool. It's a gift. It's a gift. And he loves you despite all the nonsense. And this is hope. This is life in all its fullness. Amen.